And we're back. Valholla Now episode 8 is here, and we skipped 2 weeks, as you may have noticed, but that's because I had a birthday and everything. But we back. I'm Vince, and we have a bunch of music business news to get through. We're going to talk about a bunch of catalog sales in process, some that have actually recently closed, and Warner Music Group building a new distribution company instead of buying one, and an update on Musicow, what I'm watching, and a lot more. So our first story today is Boys and their catalog sale that can get them more than $300 million. Now, this one is one of the biggest frontline catalog sales stories in recent memory. Boys are reportedly shopping their music assets, and the numbers are in the upwards of $300 million. Boys are still active, and they're not a legacy act. So this is what makes this story a little bit unique. So here's a breakdown. According to Billboard, the New Orleans rap duo's recorded music masters and publishing catalog are up for sale. Sources say that the asking price for their masters alone is over $300 million. And that's before you even factor the publishing rights. Interestingly, this deal does not include their highly lucrative merchandise business, which is a massive revenue driver for the group. For those unfamiliar, Boys' merch is a major part of their brand, and keeping that separate shows how confident they are in their ongoing success. Reportedly, the law firm that's working the deal have reached out to major labels and financial investors, with some buyers showing interest in only the publishing side. Now, let's talk numbers. So over the past 3 years, Boys have averaged 2.4 million album consumption units annually, 4.6 billion global streams per year. Even without mainstream chart dominance, their cult following has them in heavy rotation. In 2024 alone, they charted 4 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Some of their biggest hits each have hundreds of millions of streams. According to Billboard, their catalog has generated roughly $24 million in revenue annually for the past 3 years. After costs like distribution and publishing payouts, their net label share sits at around $20 million per year. So on the publishing side, they've pulled in about $6.5 million annually, with a combined net profit range of about 24 to 26 million. So this valuation starts to make sense, especially since there's a 16 times earning multiple that's applied to the revenue. So they reportedly will be including future releases with this deal. So this is a selling point to any investor worried about streaming numbers losing momentum over time. So another note is 70% of their catalog streams and 83% of their downloads come from the US, in case you're wondering. So lastly, the Boys catalog is housed at the Orchard Sony music distribution arm. But with this sale, their catalog is expected to move to a new home once the deal is finalized. Now, let's talk about Notorious B.I.G. and his recent estate selling his catalog. So you might be familiar with Primary Wave, but they've just acquired a stake in Biggie Smalls' catalog, including his music publishing, recordings, and certain name, image, and likeness rights. Now, the exact terms of the deal haven't been disclosed, but the Wall Street Journal reports that this partnership values Biggie's estate at $200 million, and he's only had 2 albums before passing away. Now, it's important to note that this deal was secured by Biggie's late mother, Valholla Wallace, shortly before her passing earlier this year. As one of the most important figures in preserving her son's legacy, Mrs. Wallace ensured that his partnership would allow Biggie's influence to continue to thrive for generations to come. Now, the Notorious B.I.G. is considered by most as one of the best rappers to ever touch a mic. And with over 28 million albums sold in the US alone, Biggie's impact has only grown stronger since his untimely death in 1997. Primary Wave's statement after the deal made it clear that they'll be working closely with the estate in all future business, aiming to continue the innovative efforts that kept Biggie's legacy alive. This could mean new collaborations, product launches, and even creative project that introduces Biggie's music to younger audiences. Now, the last catalog sale we have to talk about is already also set in stone, and it's from one of the biggest names in electronic music. It's from deadmau5. His catalog was sold for more than $55 million. And this isn't just a sale. It's a strategic partnership that could change how his music reaches fans. So let's break down what we know about this deal. Create Music Group, a company that is valued at $1 billion, was the buyer behind this acquisition of master recordings and copyrights for over 4,000 songs from deadmau5 and mau5trap. But this deal goes beyond just ownership. Create and deadmau5 are forming a joint venture to release new music from Create's platform. This means deadmau5 isn't retiring. Now that is a wrap on all of our catalog acquisition news. Now for our next story, we've talked about in previous episodes why labels are investing in independent labels from emerging regions across the world. And with the recent data dumps from RIAA, IFPI, and Media, you'll see why. Now with the recent data that we've received in the past 2 weeks, the data shows that global subscription growth continues to drive the industry. Its pace has noticeably slowed compared to previous years. This reveals a crucial trend. As mature markets start to plateau, emerging regions are becoming the new playground for growth. Emerging markets are making headlines in 2024. So just for example, let's talk Mexico. Mexico, for example, it surged in the top 10 of the IFPI rankings, replacing Australia with a 15.6% increase in subscription revenue. Latin America as a region grew 22.5%, with Brazil leading the charge at 21.7% growth. Meanwhile, China held its solid position at number 5 with Tencent Music Entertainment's 121 million subscribing, outpacing the entire US streaming base. These shifts underscore that major labels are redirecting their focus to high growth regions like China, India, and Africa. While the US remains the world's largest music market, its growth isn't keeping pace with these emerging regions. In 2024, for example, US revenue growth lagged behind global averages and even subscription revenues. So the lifeblood of the industry have cooled down significantly, with mature markets nearing saturation. So labels are attempting to innovate by exploring super premium tiers, like we talked about last episode, and enhancing payouts and working to weed out AI generated tracks to ensure professional artists get their fair share. On the ad-supported side, global streaming revenue saw a modest 3% growth, while in the US, this segment actually dropped by nearly 2%. Even so, platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Pandora remain vital, not only as major content providers, but also as an entry point that can eventually convert users to premium subscriptions. With the economic landscape remaining uncertain, these trends might even become more significant heading into 2025. So what does this mean for the future of the music industry? As major labels chase high growth emerging markets and experiment with innovative revenue models and mature ones, we could be witnessing a global reshaping of music consumption and production. So this kind of leads into label is the artist. Like I mentioned before, I think that this is going to lead to a lot more labels doing more collaborations with artists that allows them to control more of the actual catalogs that they actually have within their systems moving forward. Now, our next story is about Warner Music Group's ambitions to build a brand new independent distribution company from scratch. Now, you may remember my video about Warner Music Group possibly buying TuneCore, but we later found out that that deal never ended up materializing. Now we see why. Warner Music Group may be building its own indie distributor from scratch. In a recent Morgan Stanley conference, Warner Music Group CEO revealed why he believes building an independent distributor in-house may be a smarter move than buying one outright. Robert Kinzel explained that Warner Music Group isn't willing to grow independent distribution at all costs. Instead of spending hundreds of millions of dollars to acquire an established indie distributor, the company is leveraging its own technology team. By building distribution capabilities in-house, Warner Music Group aims to achieve the same long-term gains more efficiently. Now, this approach is interesting because this isn't a usual response, but I guess they're still in cost-saving mode, because the natural response from a major label CEO would have been to just acquire instead of building from the ground up. During his talk, Kenzel touched on the company's significant tech investments and reorganization efforts. Under the leadership of Ariel Borden, Warner Music Group has been hard at work refining its digital supply chain and core systems. Now, these improvements aren't just about keeping up with the current volume. They're about preparing for a future where higher volumes and more streamlined processes will become the norm. Kenzel's focus on fixing the boring things in the tech side of things is setting the stage for faster, more reliable services for artists and partners alike. In addition to his tech strategy, Kenzel also highlighted Warner Music Group's strategic partnerships, including a direct deal with Spotify. With key hires from former Google exec Claretta Higginson on board, Warner Music Group secured assurances for more frequent streaming price increases, which they see it as a win for both the company and its distribution partners. Kenzel is confident that these moves, along with a leaner organizational structure, have already boosted Warner Music Group's market share both in the US and globally. He even pointed out upcoming releases from artists like Ed Sheeran and Lizzo are signs of promising growth ahead. Kenzel's remarks come at a time when the music industry is seeing rapid changes, from evolving streaming models to tech-driven transformations. His optimism about raising streaming subscription prices, especially in mature markets, is rooted in what he calls the incredible resilience of music. It's a clear signal that despite the challenges, there's ample amount of opportunity for growth, innovation, if companies invest wisely and adapt strategically. So let's see how long it takes for them to build this brand new platform they're working on. Now, for our next story, we're going to be talking about 3 music lawsuits that had some significant updates this week. So first up, Mariah Carey. A federal judge in Los Angeles has ruled in favor of Mariah and her co-writer by way of a summary judgment. In short, they've won their copyright battle without the need to go to trial. The case was brought by songwriters Vince Vance and Troy Powers, who claimed that Mariah Carey's 1994 hit stole elements from their 1989 country song. Their $20 million lawsuit ended with their lawyer expressing disappointment and hinting at a potential appeal. But for now, Mariah's seasonal anthem remains untouched. Next up, Miley Cyrus. She is facing a copyright lawsuit over her hit Flowers. The suit, initiated by Tempo Music Investments, the catalog owner from a co-writer from Bruno Mars's When I Was Your Man, alleges that Flowers borrows too heavily from Mars's track. Miley's team tried to dismiss the case, arguing that Tempo shouldn't be able to sue since they acquired the rights without full consent from all songwriters. However, a judge has denied this motion, clarifying that Tempo, having the exclusive rights, can indeed pursue the lawsuit. This means that the legal battle is moving forward, setting the stage for a trial where the similarities in the song will be scrutinized further. Now, our final update comes from Plies. Now, this is a bit confusing, but follow me. He filed a lawsuit. Plies, I'm referring to. Plies filed a lawsuit claiming that the song Wannabe from Glorilla and Megan Thee Stallion, which also ended up featuring Cardi B, which also sampled Soulja Boy's Pretty Boy Swag, he claimed that they both featured unlicensed elements from his song that came out in 2008 called Me and My Goons. So in a recent turn of events, Plies has voluntarily dismissed the lawsuit without prejudice. This means that he can refile the case in the future if he chooses, but for now the matter is closed. So I'm not sure why he dropped the lawsuit, but Glorilla and Soulja Boy can rest easy knowing that they don't have to worry about this case for now. So you may remember I covered a story about a company called Musicow partnering with Roc Nation, and I thought I'd give you guys an update on them because I have a little bit more information on what the company will be doing when their app launches in the US. Just to give you some background, Musicow is the first music equity service provider that democratizes music revenue by allowing individuals to buy, sell, or trade fractional equity in music royalties. So I hear that their app will be launching soon, and what they'll offer is fractionalized royalty earnings in the form of a royalty share, which they will consider an ISO, which is technically called an initial song offering. So, in other words, they're offering investors and fans the opportunity to purchase shares in a song's future royalty income so that they can generate returns from music streams. So, someone who's in music might hear this information and wonder if musicians, copyright owners have the opportunity to offer their rights to this platform, and the answer is yes. So, all creators will have this opportunity. Artists can currently submit their interest to be on the platform. If you want to go to the website, you can go to musicow.io for more information. So I'm personally excited about this program because I think this could be a game changer for fans, artists, and investors to have access to owning, selling, and trading music. All right, so here is what I'm watching. I'm going to talk about 3 shows that I've enjoyed in the past 3 months. One of them being The Day of the Jackal, Paradise, and Severance. Now, first, let's talk about The Day of the Jackal. So The Day of the Jackal is about and this is going to be spoiler free, but The Day of the Jackal is about an assassin who tries to go on this last job to get out the game. And, you follow him through this story that is shot and told so well. The cinematography in this show is just top tier. It really feels like you're watching kind of a Bond movie, but not watching Bond, but you're watching an assassin's view. It's just really good. Again, this show blew me away. I think it's actually going to be coming in for another season. I really think you need to watch it. Like I said, the story is amazing. The cinematography, amazing. Acting, casting, the direction, crazy. I loved it. So you have to make sure you add that to your watch list if you haven't watched it already. The next one is Paradise. If you follow me on Twitter, I was one of the first people to talk about Paradise. Paradise follows a Secret Service agent and who's protecting the president, and it's just a wild ride from the get. If you haven't heard any spoilers, I'm not gonna say anything else, but it really is an original story. It's great cinematography, great storytelling, amazing cast. Just the writing is great, and just the twists and turns that it takes you along the way is great, and it's coming back for season 2 as well, so I'm looking forward to that. Now, Severance just had its finale, which recently aired, and I like just talking about it, I'm getting goosebumps. It was just an amazing way to end season 2. If you haven't watched the show yet, you have to make sure you start from season 1. But it's just an amazing story. One of the highlights. So I would say 3 episodes that was highlights from this season, but 2 of them really included scenes that included a transfer. Ben Stiller mentioned how they transferred the digital copies of certain parts of the episodes. You'll see when I'm referring to. It's the episode before, so episode 8, if I'm not mistaken, episode 7 or episode 8, and then episode 10. But anyway, it's a transfer service. It's a transfer that they did where they transferred the digital shots to 35 millimeter film, and it looks like they shot on film. Just amazing. Like, there was the finale ends with a song and an ending scene that is ripped from a 70s sci-fi film, and it's just amazing. That episode, the finale, was directed by Ben Stiller. It was just amazing. I just loved the show. Again, those 3 shows. There's others that I'm watching now, but those 3 shows were highlights, and I'm really gonna miss those shows. Obviously, Severance is coming back for season 3. We hopefully don't have to wait 2 years for it. They said we don't have to wait 3, but I really want this hopefully in the next year. Hopefully Apple can turn this around real quick. But I loved the show. Shouts to everybody involved. This just I think we're really in a golden age of television and so forth. So I'm gonna have and speaking of that, I'm gonna have Vita back on. We're gonna talk about those 3 shows. Probably, hopefully, the next episode. So next episode, we'll probably kind of go in depth with those, or probably do a special episode just talking about those shows. Maybe. So anyway, make sure you add those shows to your watch list, and that's the end of the show. Like, man, like I had fun this episode. This was a great show to put together. If you have any topics you want me to talk about next week or next episode, let me know in the comments. We're going to be back next week, and we got some brand new music videos for you. Just keep watching, and the music videos will flow. So thanks so much for watching this new episode of Valholla Now Radio, episode 8. Let's check out these videos. See y'all next time. Peace.